All right, so I just hit 3 weeks postpartum, and I haven't really been doing too much. Like personally, I've been feeling a lot of pressure if I'm walking too far or going up and down the stairs. And I'm prone, I guess more prone to experiencing prolapse. So I'm just trying to take it easy. Of course, I'm only 3 weeks anyway, so I'm going to be taking it easy, but just being extra precautious and mindful of what I'm feeling in my body, how I'm healing, how I'm breathing. If you have anybody in your immediate family who's had a prolapse, hysterectomy, history of hernias, I had a hernia after my second, so I was trying to be really cautious with this most recent pregnancy, just to try to avoid that again. Or somebody in my immediate family had to have a hysterectomy due to a prolapse, so that can be some kind of ligament laxity issue that's actually genetic. There's been studies done on that. So me knowing that, I'm just trying to be more mindful with how I'm moving. So I just want to take you through a few moves to do today. So again, this is 3 weeks. I don't want any pressure. So I do have like a Pilates ball, and I want to incorporate that a little bit further down the road when I can challenge my core a little bit more. But for now, I'm putting a block in between my knees to squeeze. I could lay on my back for this. I could lay on my sides. I'm just going to do some quick 360 breaths. So me squeezing the block is firing my adductors, my inner thighs, to help keep my pelvis stable. Squeezing the block helps that. It helps firing the adductors helps the low abs also contract, those transverse abdominals. I could put my feet up against the wall and imagine dragging them up to help fire the hamstrings, or if I was laying on my back, I could pull my heels down without actually pulling them down. Think of just putting the pressure there to help fire the adductors, and that helps pull the pelvis under. So as I'm here squeezing this block, not crazy, I don't want to clench my glutes, right? My glutes should be nice and loose. But as I'm just squeezing this, maybe I do some pelvic tilts to help myself find my neutral. Like I know, okay, I'm overly arched here. I'm overly tucked and rounded here. Somewhere in a happy medium. Okay, and I'm just going to focus on doing like 3 to 5 breaths with a gentle squeeze with the block. So we'll go 1, hold, long, slow exhales, and hold for like 3 to 5 seconds at the end, at the top and bottom if you can. So remember, as we inhale down and out, we want to feel our ribs moving, going into your chest, your sides, your back, your belly. Everything is expanding with that inhale. So let's go again. Sending the breath down towards the pelvic floor, holding, exhale. Long and slow. Think of that exhale going back from the pelvic floor, your basement, all the way back up to the top, and your ribs are coming together. Everything's just knitting together. Towards the end, your core will fire. Mine, slowly but surely, will get there. I've never been the type to bounce back. That's never been me. I've always had to work really hard and fight for it, but that's also okay. All of our bodies are different. So let's do one more here. We'll do a long, slow inhale and exhale. Pausing at the top and let go. So for me, that position feels a little difficult, hands and knees, with my core response. Hold on. I have my newborn here with me. Because we just have to multitask. We try to do everything. Try to get everything done. Okay. So I would start with that. Like what I've been doing is doing it side lying. What's been helpful for me recently is just side lying before I go to bed. standing in the shower. You know, just think if you're standing or even laying, you want to keep your ribs stacked over your hips. So think ribs over pelvis. Same thing with your head and neck, right? Like somebody's pulling your hair, right? And pulling you up. I feel like that's kind of a good cue here. Another thing I wanted to show, which I have a German Shepherd puppy, and if you can't tell, she chewed my foam roller. So I think I need a new one. Again, though, with the block, if you have a foam roller and or block, this would be really helpful. So again, in this forest position, right? Okay. So what I want to do, actually I'm going to put this on the outside of my hand. So I'm taking my right hand, okay, and I'm squeezing this block so I don't twist from my low back, right? We want to avoid twisting from here, and I just want it to come through the upper part of my back. So I'm putting palm up, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to reach till it feels like a nice stretch. Okay, I'm still supported with my left arm down. I am hypermobile, which is also another risk to prolapse, but so my arms, I kind of just like bend weird, and I have to be more mindful of the end range of motion for myself, because hypermobile people tend to just live in that extended state. So we have to kind of be more mindful of that. So if I just hold this here and I can take a breath, and open up one side at a time. So this is like a really cool thing too that you can add. So I'll show it from this side. So I'm squeezing this block so I'm not twisting from my low back. Okay, so if I were to twist from my low back, I'll just show you, I would get much more range of motion because I'm twisting through my back versus me keeping something stable. I could even put like another one of these between my legs, something to help, but this helps keep that low back more stable. The next exercise that I would do besides doing my breath work, right, that I've been doing, you don't have to do the one with the foam roller, but it's just a way to help open up one side at a time and also get a nice stretch, because we're all like used to just being rounded forward, either nursing or sitting at a desk in a chair on our phones. So another thing that I also want to get my body doing is just making sure my glutes are loose, because I tend to clench. I'm a clencher. So I relax those, and I just want to keep, again, ribs stacked over hips, and I just want to focus on hinging, right? So starting lower to the ground, I'm going to have more control, okay? So I just want to come back into that hinge and try not to force a glute clench coming up to the top, which my body wants to do right now because it's just so fresh, and that's okay. We're just moving gently, focusing on the breathing. So now I want to exhale. The breath work is the most important right now. Move slow. Inhale. Exhale. And depending if you have more pelvic floor tension, you may need to do the opposite. So it depends. There are times where I inhale through the whole motion. So I will do, so here's an inhale. Then I'll kind of work more with my pelvic floor. But the opposite may be true for your body. So try both and see what feels best for you. And that could be something that's beneficial. So I just do a few sets of that, maybe go through that twice. And I'm gonna make this quick because I know that we don't really have much time as moms, right? I know that my baby here, he's not gonna let me have that much time. So this I'm just putting behind my head here, right at like the base of my neck. I also have my clip helping me out, I guess, for forward head posture. So that helps with that. Low back into the mat, right? We don't want to be arched like this. We want everything nice and even onto the mat. without, again, clenching the glutes and tucking like this. You know, if I'm tucking like this to force my back into the mat and my glutes are not loose, put another towel, just like something small, roll that up, put it under the towel so the floor meets your body, okay? You don't want to overdo it or strain yourself trying to do this, okay? And the only thing that I'm just going to do is focus again on my breathing, depending on what my body needs. And I'm just going to do some heel slides. So just coming out, pause, okay? And then I'm going to exhale. Thankfully, my mat's in the way. Great. So push out. And then feel the low abs. Super slow. Inhale down. Exhale back in. Just, you know, you can feel your hamstrings working as you drag that heel back. You don't want to shift your hips while you're doing this. Everything is nice and straight. Very minimal core firing. And then when I talk, I lose count. So Lord knows how many repetitions I've done already. But we're just going to say that's 6. Okay. 7. Okay, so just focus on your breathing here, your own pace. Hips staying straight. Maybe do this more on your mat or on the floor so you're not bumping into it like I am. And just keep that core lightly moving. I'm going to go to like 14. Okay. Counting 1 on each side. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I have to get better at my video editing so then I can put kind of like numbers and text in the video for reps and stuff. Okay. So that is, hopefully that doesn't bring any discomfort. If it does, then you back off, especially if it causes more bleeding. Like, you always get cleared by your doctor before you start any kind of regimen. Okay, so typically I'll start really moving after 6 weeks if my body feels okay to do so. But right now I'm just connecting my breath to smaller movements. But if it doesn't feel right, like I said, it causes more bleeding or just pain or strain, pressure down, back off. It's fine. Your body is going to heal the way it needs to. Okay. Another thing to do is check how each of your hips are doing. Hopefully this will get me in the video, but so you think if we hinge like we're doing a deadlift, okay, but we're using both sides, I want to see how each of my hips are doing, okay, because I've had issues with SI joint pain, with low back pain, so I want to try each side to see how each side is firing. So I'm just going to kickstand like this, and I'm going to send it back, keeping my knee over midfoot. Okay, I already know I have core trouble because my big toe wants to lift off the ground. Okay, so I know that my core, of course, I still have the diastasis, things are going on, but I want to see, do I get lengthening in this glute? Do I feel my hip pinching on this side? Just doing a few on each side. I feel my hamstring is tight here. My right glute wants to clench. So, and my right side is where my SI joint pain lives. So I'm going to have to work on this side a little more, and that's okay. Just getting feedback from my body. But those are just 3 moves that you can do daily. The breaths, the 360 breaths, I try to do throughout the day all the time. So 3 to 5 breaths, either one side. I can do 3 to 5 here, 3 to 5 here, laying on my back, putting my feet on the wall, doing it the way I did it in the quadruped position, 3 to 5 breaths, and you can do that a million times a day, as long as you're not getting lightheaded and dizzy. That's why I just say start with 3 to 5. You can do 2 to 3 sets, and then a couple hours later, do another 2 to 3 sets, however you can. Like I said, my time's in the shower. I'll do skin rolling in the shower too to help with my, my flared ribs and my ab gripping. My muscles are tense, so just trying to hold on because of my weak core. So just do as many times as you can. The heel slides, you can do 2 sets of like 12 to 14. If it feels good, stick to that. You can use that roller that I did, and I don't know, what was the other move I did? The hip hinging. See? Mom brain. The hip hinging, you can just start with like 8 to 12 and do 2 to 3 sets of that. This is more so just focusing on connecting your breath with your body. So keeping everything nice and connected. Working on go-to is exhaling on the hard part. That's like the go-to goal, but sometimes your body doesn't need that. Sometimes we need to inhale on the harder parts, not heavy lifting, not when it's super heavy, but easing back into it like this if there's tension in the pelvic floor. So try both and see what feels good with like body weight stuff. I wouldn't say do that with heavy lifting, but for now we're just easing back into things, and that's okay. So if you have any questions, let me know. I'm just going to continue this, try to week by week with progressions of exercises. So the last video I did, I had the angel wings. Those are still really good to do, laying on your back. You can keep that up and just keeping everything connected to the floor, reaching up and over, doing the closed books, laying on the side, opening up. But remember, keep something between your legs so you're not rotating from the low back. We don't want the low back taking over. We want this rotation here. And then when we start with how I did with the foam roller and I connected that, think of your core like this. We want to connect like this and like this with our obliques. So rotation is good. We just don't want to overdo it in the beginning while the core is still coming back together, if that makes sense. All right. Thank you for watching.